Welcome to the Inspired Action Podcast. This is where we have motivational, inspiring conversations and interviews that we hope you will enjoy listening to. If you're interested in creating more balance in your life, understanding your 5-element energetic nature, finding the path of greatest ease,
or releasing the baggage of this lifetime and discovering ancient alchemy that can help you fly in your life. Join us and other inspired actioneers on this alchemical transformational journey.
Welcome back to the Inspired Action Podcast. My name is Jay, and I'm here with my co-host, Lita Herman.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Lita. Today we have a big podcast. This is Pod 14, and we're going to talk about the Earth element in our 5-element series. And, you know, I like to lovingly refer to the Earth people. I have a lot of names for Earth people. Earthlings, the Love Sherpers, and I love the Love Sherper because they love to give and they give to love, which means they will carry that heavy load. And why will they do that, Lita?
Because they love you.
Because they love you. Isn't that sweet? Well, we have a lot of to cover today. This is one of our longest episodes. I think it's going to be because we have tons of stuff. And, you know, Earth is that mysterious 5th element, and it's very complicated. And we're just going to scratch the surface a little bit. And like we did on the other ones, just to pique your interest and see if you identify.
And also, I wanted to say that, you know, to do the Earth element justice, we're going to kind of slow it down a little bit.
So if we get going on a runner and we go fast, we'll slow it back down. So stick with us.
And that's really just to also be in the vibration of Earth. You know, the way we do this podcast, we go really fast. We're funny. We're moving at a pretty fast.
We're funny?
I hope we're funny. We crack each other up at least.
Yes, we do. And our dog laughs a lot too. The studio dog here.
Yes. And so I think that just to be fair to Earth, we'll slow it down. We'll be more thoughtful, which is the Earth element.
Yes.
And we will bring out a lot of interesting facts and tidbits that I think Earth people will really love.
Yeah. And I know we have taught workshops in the past, and the Earth people love the workshops, but they're like, it's so much information so fast. So that's why we're going to slow it down a little bit today.
And Earth is about digestion. How can you digest, a meal if you're gobbling it down?
So to digest the podcast, you can slow it down and just relax and listen. Okay. So Lita, why don't you get us started on the Earth element?
Okay, so Earth makes the world go round. And without Earth, nothing would get done. I mean, Jay, let's ask our listeners an important question. Do you ever feel like the rest of us in the world is depending on you?
You meaning the Earth person.
Yeah.
Yes. If you're shaking your head a little bit, yes, then you may be Earth. I mean, that's a pretty big thing. Do you feel like the rest of the world, it could be your family, your partner, your kids, if they're depending on you, that's an Earth element characteristic. So, hold that thought. You might have Earth in your first or second. We're going to just touch on these things and see how you feel. Hopefully by the end of the podcast, you'll know whether or not you have Earth as this amazing first or second element in your stack up.
And Earth is very special because it's this 5th element.
Yes. I like to say the mysterious fifth element.
So there are 4 seasons, and each element is associated with a season. Like wood, we've talked about, is for spring, and fire is associated with summer.
So if that's it, and metal is autumn, and water is winter, what do we do with the 5th element, the Earth, the 5th element?
So, Earth doesn't have a single season, and it's associated with 4 transitions between seasons. So each season moves into another season, right? So between spring and summer, we have this time of year where things are a bit cool and things are starting to grow into and flower and bloom. And
so maybe Earth is like the glue that holds the seasons together.
Yeah.
Okay.
And all these transitions are Earth time, but there is one transition that I like to say exemplifies Earth the best. And we're coming into it soon. So it's a good time to do our Earth episode. And that is what I call harvest time.
Yes. Yeah. So it's when we have the bounty of the fruits of our labor.
The fruits of our labor. So if you think about how in the spring, all the plants shoot up out of the ground, in the summer, they all bloom and kind of reach their full height. In the pre-fall, in that harvest time between summer and fall, you get the abundance. You get all the fruits of your labor. You get to pick this wonderful ripe fruit. This is a glorious season, and Earth is about the fullness and ripeness of life. And all the storehouses and granaries get full to the brim. Everyone's overflowing with this abundance of the harvest. And that's really what Earth is like. They're overflowing with something to give.
I know our garden is, that we take care of. We have a nice garden, and it's kind of, I feel like I'm in my Earth mode when I'm there. I'm working, and then the things are starting to pop out, the harvest. Yeah, so I guess I'm in my Earth mode when I'm in the garden.
Yes, because Earth is hard work and dedication.
Oh, yeah, that garden is hard work. Yes.
Caring,
Yes.
And so that's what creates the fruits.
You can't have a good harvest without hard work, dedication, and really thinking everything through.
Yeah.
All year. That's what do you think that a lot of farmers are Earth?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, I don't think it's exclusive at all, because I think water people love to be outside.
Wood people like to kind of hold that big vision.
Yeah,
So maybe it's an all
it doesn't
encompassing.
seem exclusively.
But
Earth.
okay, so at this time of the year, you definitely could flip into your Earth mode, though.
Yeah,
okay. Because I know I feel a little bit different. So so we're talking a little bit about the overall view. And I also think we've talked about this many times, how the world is really built on the Earth person's backbone. They're amazingly hard workers. It's not that the rest of us aren't doing anything, but for sure, we're not doing as much as the Earth elements.
And we're not being as thorough.
Yeah, we're definitely not being as thorough. And we might work at a faster pace than they do, too. It doesn't mean they're not working as hard or harder, or they're doing their fair share. They usually do more than their fair share, but they do it at their own pace.
Have you ever noticed that some people do the basic, what they can get away with? They just do what's needed and they don't do anything extra. And then the Earth person cares so much.
They'll pick up the slack. They'll do other things. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, that there's so much more than that. They're caring, they're sensual, they're alluring. They want to take care of everyone in this kind of sweet, soft goodness. That's when Earth is in their element and they're in a really positive place. We're going to talk about some of the challenges later, but let's talk about the positive stuff.
Well, we say that Earths give and give, and the rest of the world seems to just take and take. And that can be frustrating, but they really give without expecting the gratitude back. They don't stop giving because people are takers in the world. And that's beautiful. It's like Earth has all this nourishment, like the plants, taking the air and the water and
the land,
the sun and the land, and they transform those ingredients into something really valuable that they can give away. And that's what the Earth people are doing every day. They're transforming all this stuff that they're taking in from food and from people's love and everything else that's given to them, and they give it back.
That's a beautiful thing. And even though you and I personally don't have Earth in our top 3, we know a lot of Earth people, and we have Earth people in our family. And at home, they seem to be day to day. They're that phrase, down to earth. That's a really big phrase.
A perfect phrase.
Great phrase. They love to wear jeans and comfy shirts. But give them a reason to dress up, and they're all about looking good. They can be very good dressers. They seem to have a earthy component to a lot of the clothes that they wear, but they can look very nice.
Yeah, because the wood, we didn't really talk a lot about this. The wood dress apparel is sort of sporty. Little bit like charismatic. We did talk about
that one conversational item.
Yeah, we did talk about Lady Gaga and the meat dress. And Fire likes more of a bling bling look and something a little bit.
So now we have to add the down to earth style, so to speak. Yes. And I always think we joke about Jennifer Aniston with that t-shirt and the jeans and the flip flops. She made that whole flip flops in the winter thing like a real thing.
Yeah.
So that's that down to earth girl next door look.
Yeah, and if you look at Lisa Kudrow from Friends,
both from
Phoebe,
Friends. Okay, so
yeah,
double
both
friends.
Friends. That's so funny. But Phoebe also always dressed in these flowing clothes, like like skirts or long shirts, long jackets.
Yeah,
things
I
that
think
flow.
that her character played Earth, and she's Earth, person. And I just saw her on TV yesterday, and she was wearing jeans, a t-shirt, and like a suede down to earth kind of jacket. And I'm like, oh, Earth girl. Yes. So we have that Earth girl down to earth dress, and that, like, again, like you said, that doesn't mean they don't like to dress up. Give them a reason and they will dress up, but they love to be comfortable and casual.
And there's a huge range to Earth. Lisa's maybe on one end and Jennifer's on another. I mean, you can't just say that all Earth people are similar. In fact, I think they're the most diverse.
I do too.
Because they're at the center of everything, and Earth holds the space for the rest of us. So we say they're completely balanced in Chinese medicine between yin and yang. And if you've listened listened to us before. I'll explain it again. Yang is outward and expressive, and yin is inward and like more condensed.
Yeah, and we've talked about the
quiet.
two most yang elements so far, outward and upward, and wood and fire. Now we have this earth that's in the middle, and our next two podcasts will be the quieter, more inward energies of metal and water. So let's keep going with this.
Yeah,
this
it would be
middle.
Yes, it would be nice to say if that all fires and woods are extroverts and all metals and waters are introverts. And mostly you could probably say that, but there's going to be exceptions.
Yeah.
There are some fires and woods who are going to be introverts.
I see that a little bit with wood. You wouldn't think that, but if they're not in a great place, they can be, that whole privacy thing can look like they're introverted for sure.
And they could have had life deal them some really tough punches.
And they're not being their wood self. Mm-hmm. Same thing with fire. If they've gotten hurt or they're just vulnerable a little too much.
More shy.
Yeah, and that could look introverted as well.
But mostly, I'd say the majority of woods and fires seem more extroverted to the rest of the world. And the majority of metals and waters can be introverted. Although, again, there's some exceptions.
And so the earth can be either way.
Yeah. But yes, earth is either way all the time. So they can flip between extroverted and introverted like that. And so they really are both.
Sure. And I know a lot of social earth people. They go to a lot of parties. They have a lot of parties. They host, political events, or they host, potlucks, or they host, things for the community. So that would be more of an extroverted thing. But then when they're home, they're kind of introverted. Yeah.
Yes. Now, earth is similar to fire, and some people have a difficult time distinguishing between the two, because we also talked last time about how fire is a bit self-centered and focused on themselves
in a nice way.
And earths are actually the most self-centered
in a nice way.
All the elements.
They always get mad when I say that.
I know. And fires can look selfishly focused because they want to make sure everyone is happy. But they'll sometimes go way out of their way on a limb and make a huge selfless sacrifice for their loved ones and friends because they ultimately want to be loved.
But so that's their motivation. What's the earth motivation?
So earth gives and gives all day long and will absolutely shut down and refuse to give another thing when they're exhausted because they're 100% focused on themselves and whether they have enough to give. So when the tank is empty, that's it. They're done. So you could need them for something that's so, so important. And they're like, no.
That's when they want to go home and take a bath.
Yeah, right.
Like, no, I have to go home and take a bath. So don't bother me till tomorrow. I've seen that before, what you just said about that in my friends. And, they're nice and sweet, but when they get tired.
I know the earth bath is great that you brought that up because they love to take a bath. And I think that's their way to fill the gas tank, refuel energetically. Yeah.
So if you're earth and you love to take baths, that's a good thing. What if you have earth third? When you were talking about how they just get so tired, if you have earth third and that is not your happy place, that is what's going to come up.
Well, you actually said that we don't have earth in our top three, but I'm earth third.
Actually, you're right. I'm so sorry.
So earth third is the not nice version of earth is when I get into my third element and I'm whiny and
I know that.
I think I'm never like that. And I think nobody's helping me. And I'm like,
actually, you're very rarely in that third.
No, I don't let myself go there.
Even the 5% of most people, but I very rarely see you in that.
Sometime we'll do a podcast on how everyone can avoid getting to that yucky place.
Maybe we'll do that after the end of the 5.
Yeah,
okay, great.
It's important.
So let's go back really quick. So if you love to, what other things besides the bath do they like to do to get things back in order?
Well, they have to eat. They have to.
Again, with the refuel.
Yeah, it's all about refueling. Whatever, maybe it's a walk. Yeah, I mean, every earth person is different.
Yes. Okay. So keep that in mind when you're trying to figure out your earth or those around you.
I occasionally meet an earth person who doesn't take a bath, but I have to say it's rare. Most of them love a bath. They might eat. They might need to go be with friends, or they might need to meditate and be alone. It's whatever refuels them.
Yeah, I know some that like to go out into nature.
Yes.
Go for a walk with the dogs or whatever. Okay, great. Yeah. So that's a good way to, again, recognize things. So let's talk about their supporting roles. They love to play supporting roles for their children, families, parents, coworkers. Even the jobs they pick are often supporting roles.
Yeah, they love careers like psychology. Many of them are healers. That's obvious. Teachers. So many earth people teach. Also in the hospitality field, think think about it, like earth is this giving, nourishing element. And of course, that would work great in
therapists we talk about as well.
Yes.
And also, we're going to talk about this later, is hairstylists.
Yes.
You know, that comes up later.
And ultimately.
And aren't they really therapists anyways with scissors?
And they're the philosophers. Yes, hairstylists are theripists. Absolutely.
With sharp objects.
And philosophers. Yes. I was going to say earth people are the philosophers of the world.
Yes, that's great. So, all right. So, actually, let's talk a little bit more about the hairstylist. I think it's, a big profession for earth people.
Yeah, we did a workshop for hairstylists at a big salon a while back, and I was shocked. Every single person in the salon, I think it was 25, was earth, except the owner, who was wood, and the owner's wife, I think, was fire. And out of all those people, every single person was earth. And then we started thinking about it. And if you think about what you want out of out of a hairstylist, you want all the earth benefits.
They want to be good listeners.
Earth is a good listener.
Yes. They like to solve problems.
They like to solve problems, and they care.
Yes.
And they're going to really try to do what you want. Whereas some other elements, like let's just say wood, might get really excited about doing whatever they feel like doing that day.
Yes.
And they're like, you're going to love it. And then you end up hating it.
Well, you might love it, but it's not what you want.
Right.
It's not what you're telling that person.
Yes.
And so I do think that earth, they're very good listeners. And even if they have their own slightly different agenda, they'll listen and they'll intuitively sense what you really want. And they're like, I always like to joke and say they're therapists with a sharp weapon.
Right. Hairstylists are.
And also, I had this thought when we were talking. I didn't want to interrupt you. What a surprise, right? But I always think of a therapist and a hairdresser, or hairstylists, I think we call them, as the Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers quote when, she does the same dance routine, but she does it backwards and in heels.
Right.
Okay. So hairstylists are sometimes like therapists, but they do it while they're cutting your hair.
Yes.
How about if if you ever go to a therapist while you're in a session, they can you hop behind me and cut my hair?
Yeah.
I don't think they would be able to. They'd be like, what? We're kind of joking a little bit, but that's really, they do so many different things.
And earth is born to give. We said that before. And giving it's the earth gift to the world. And so what is a gift? It's not just a physical object. It's the thoughtfulness that they put into it.
So let's talk a little bit about fire versus earth, and let's about this thoughtfulness. We were talking the other day about giving birthday gifts, and then you had your story, and then we have our good friend of ours, Jill, who's earth.
Yes.
And so let's compare the two, so you can get an idea of that wonderful, beautiful earth thoughtfulness.
So as we said last time, I'm fire. So if I have a birthday, it doesn't matter how much I love the person, I will wait till the very last minute to go get a birthday gift. I may have thought about it at least. I'll be so late to get to the party that I will run into a store and ask the owner or the shopkeeper to help me find a gift. Probably I'm out of there in 5 to 10 minutes max with it wrapped.
Sorry, all those long-term friends of Lita's. Secrets out.
It's pathetic. But an earth person would not only think about it ahead of time, they would plan it. They would be on it for weeks ahead of time. They might make the gift.
They might make the wrapping paper or the gift tag or something to make it just that much special over the top.
Or draw the card. And
yes.
I mean, there's just so much more. And if you know earth people who plan parties, it's amazing. They put so many beautiful touches that you don't even hardly notice, especially if you're fire. But they just have this incredible, ability to make everything so thoughtful and so caring.
So let's talk about an earth party. If you want to, I have this joke. If you want to make an earth birthday present for an earth person, give them a party, because then they don't have to do anything. They organize the party for them, have the guests come, and maybe they can all talk about their gratitude and how they, adore those around them. The earth person will be in their glory.
Oh my God.
Because they've done these parties for years and years, tons and tons of them. And that's what they do every time.
Ask everyone coming to that earth person's party to write down on a card their thoughts
Yeah, then
about
you all can
the
sit
person.
around a circle and tell each other, each other what you think.
Them.
Yes,
That's kumbaya it.
yes, and you know what? They can braid each other's hair at the same time.
Yes.
Yes, no, I'm joking.
No, you're not.
Don't get mad at me, Earth people. I want to go to those parties once in a while.
Maybe bring some henna. They can henna each other's
Yes. Oh my God.
hands or
Yes.
something.
Yes. And I always say the Earth people are the ones who are buying the ponchos. So bring your poncho.
Bring your poncho.
And your hemp. No, I love it. And don't forget your guitar or your ukulele.
Yes.
And we'll have a nice Earth party. But organize that party for them.
Yeah.
And take that one time they get to go. And then you could say something like, you were my inspiration on how I did this party. They will be like,
oh my God. If you really love someone in their Earth, that is the greatest gift you could give them.
Or a poncho or a ukulele.
Yeah, or a poncho.
Or do-it-yourself henna kit. Earth friendly, of course.
Yes.
Yes.
But think of your thoughts as pearls of wisdom.
Wait, you could add a candle. I'm thinking of all the gifts I've given to my Earth friends, which they love. Okay.
But think of it as pearls of wisdom you're going to give them, not just the gift, but the thought that goes with it.
Yeah, because that's what they do. Pearls, they give away the pearls of the wisdom. Yeah. They love to share their knowledge, and they love to have their knowledge help you get happier or solve a problem easier.
Right.
Great. So let's talk about, do they receive well? Yeah. Do they receive things from other people?
Remember, we talked about how important it is they take a bath. I mean, maybe it's yoga. Maybe it's getting a manicure. I mean, there's so many things that they can do for themselves. They could read a self-help book.
I was just going to say take a class or a workshop or read a good book.
Yes, they love to take classes and workshops. But if they're not refilling, if for some reason they stop receiving, which can happen, it's a big problem.
I think that happens a lot.
And they get really mean and feeling really resentful of everyone else around them.
Slightly bitter.
Yeah. Because they're not nourishing themselves. If they're not getting their nourishment, they're not giving any nourishment.
So if you think you're Earth in the top 1, 2, or even 3, it's about self-care, receiving without feeling guilty. Yeah. And that's a challenge for them to actually, they put everyone before themselves.
Yes.
So you need to realize that self-care is important. It'll help you.
Right. And if they're feeling very resentful for other reasons, they may stop giving. And if you're Earth and you stop giving, it's like constipation because you've got all
we don't want that.
No.
So if you don't want to be elementally constipated, take care of yourself and don't rely on anyone else to give to you. Yeah. Like don't feel resentful that everyone is not maybe carrying their fair share around the house or the office.
We're going to talk about that at the end, like how Earth can evolve.
So let's talk a little bit more about, how about ease, things not being easy.
So Earth makes things look easy because they are hard workers and people around them don't sometimes understand how much work they're doing.
Yeah, especially if it takes a lot longer amount of time.
Yeah.
They will stay to the end and get everything done. Exactly. And you might not know that they stayed 2 extra hours.
Right. Yeah. Or I often use, if someone's going to mop the kitchen floor, there are many elements who would try to do that in 5 to 10 minutes.
Or wood.
Yeah.
But
water.
Wood.
Sometimes water's slow too. But anyway, Earth.
Yes, water can be slow.
So then the Earth person comes in after they've left and redoes it properly.
Now, do they tell them?
Not necessarily.
But if they're in an itchy mood with a bee, they might really go off on them, or they might just do it themselves and then they're going to want to teach them how to do it next time.
And then they'll try to teach them. And then the person may not like that and may stop mopping the floor. And then the Earth person starts getting resentful because they're the only one that mops the floor.
So again, it's about not relying on other people to give that feeling of giving. Okay, yes. I get that. That's a good thing for non-Earth people to understand about Earth people.
Now, everyone also needs to understand that Earth is the problem solver of the world. And wood can solve problems very quickly. Now, Earth likes to analyze. So they take a difficult problem that's sometimes very complex and they take it apart, and it may take days to analyze
we joked about this in the wood
episode,
episode, how, I might have an answer in like 1 minute and an Earth person might take a week.
Right.
And we might come to the same conclusion or might not.
Right.
And the wood person needs to look at that Earth person respectfully and take that in and then make another decision.
And I know an Earth person who created a wonderful job for herself. She goes into companies and educational institutions and she analyzes what's not working. And she puts it all in a giant report and she presents it and earth people are very good at speaking and presenting. She goes in and presents it and explains what they could do to solve their problem.
So if you think you're a problem solver, or you're the problem solver of your group, of your circle, that's an indicator that you may be earth or have earth 1 or 2.
And I always say, if you have a problem, like, I don't like my hair product. I think I'm going to get a new hair product. Okay. And you could go to the store and you could try it a bunch, and maybe it's going to waste a lot of your time. Or you could just ask your earth friend which one.
They'll already know. They'll have 5 choices, 5 different ones. Do you want with the sulfate, no sulfate, do this and that, flavor, no, smell? No, yeah, they have it all worked out.
In fact, when you go in their cabinets at home, they have like a ton of products there that they've tried and they've analyzed.
They can't throw them away.
And they've read all the ingredients.
Yes. And they'll even know where to get it at the cheapest price.
Yes.
How to get it if you buy it in bulk, if you buy it versus on sale. So they're solving the problems for you.
Yes.
So I love that.
I once had a laundry problem. I had a machine that had a horrible smell, and I asked an earth friend, what do I do? And immediately she solved the problem. She didn't even, because she'd already solved the problem for herself.
Sure. I go through that a lot. So, all right, that's a great thing. I think that's a plus on the earth.
Yes.
So problem solving, if you get that respect and that gratitude back from the person, they'll keep doing it all day long. So that's a great thing.
Now, one of the difficulties of being a problem solver is sometimes earth gets stuck in the problem.
Yeah, the challenge, yes.
And they get problem focused and they can't get to the solution.
They never get out of that loop.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think what I've seen is they get a little tired and they put that project away and they never get back to it.
Or they get typed as the complainers.
Yes.
Because they're trying to solve the problems, but they're a little too focused on the problems and not as much on the solutions. And then people around them are like, you're always complaining.
Yes. And it could go on for weeks and months. And this is very, if you have a wood person involved, it could drive them crazy. But they might seem like they can't get out of that problem solving mode. I agree.
Yeah. And we haven't talked about this yet, but earth has a lot of sensuality.
Yes, I think that's another big quality of the earth element.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of why those flowing clothes are so important.
Yes, and I think metal in that category is very similar. Yes. They also wear the flowing clothes.
But metal likes the tactileness of things. They want to actually feel velvet or fur or, things that feel really yummy to the touch. So metal and earth share that, but I would say metal is more so even in that sense. But when you think of a sensual person, you might think of an earth person.
And I know we've talked about earth with a sensuality also being with food.
Yes.
Having that amazing meal.
Yes.
Having from start to finish, it takes hours to do, and they love every component of it. And to them, that is sensual.
And again, metal takes it to another level where it's more about the food in their mouth and the different textures, as opposed to like for earth, the sensualness of the food is when it's all laid out on the table, looking beautiful.
It's the bounty and the beauty. Yeah. Yes, I love that. Yeah. So that's the difference. We'll get into more of that with metal, but that's a good point about the sensuality. And then the dominatrix of the elemental word. Wow, that's a big one. So that could be earth as well. It's being in charge, and it's different than wood being in charge, which is more bossy pants. And earth, I always say, is more of a steamroller. No one stands a chance.
Yes. If earth is on a mission, they will steamroll right over you.
Yeah. No matter how strong you are or how big you are, they are on a mission and they are going to do what they have to do.
Think about a mother bear and her cubs. Yeah. That is earth.
Yeah.
So if you're messing with an earth woman's child, just expect you're gonna be
or family members or the child too, but family members. I mean that they can steamroll just about anybody. So and I'm just looking at my notes here. We've talked about the self-centered versus fire. Let's talk a little bit about the number one thing I think is the listening.
They are the listeners of the world. If you talk, they will listen.
And they love to validate. If you listen and they validate, I think, again, we go back to the hairstylist. That's one of the therapists or the healers, that whole list that you gave of what they do. Think about it. They listen and they validate.
So some people don't know what that means to validate. And so here's what it means. You go blah, 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 blah. And the earth person says, I heard you say And in their own words, they reframe what you just said, but very accurately.
Isn't that like a therapy? What is that therapy?
Yeah.
What's that therapy called? Where you say something and they say it back?
Oh, that's Imago. Yes.
Imago. That was invented by an earth person. No,
Yes,
I don't know if
totally.
that's true, but I'm just guessing.
I think you're right.
Yes, I'm just guessing. But that's
it's a technique where you
Yes.
say something and the other person says it back to
Yes.
you. That's validation.
yes.
And the validation is encouraging and uplifting, and it really makes someone feel like they are understood.
So if you're an earth person and you like to do that with other people,
That's what you want other people to do for you.
yeah, that's like their
And
secret.
they don't get that
It's
very
like their
often.
secret. Yes. Yes. So
Unless
they do it so well.
Yes.
And maybe people don't do it as much back to them.
Well, I think every earth person has one earth friend, at least, or at least someone close enough that they can validate and listen.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know earth people like earth people friends because when you go to their outdoor things, they're all wearing ponchos.
Right. It's a community of poncho wearers.
Yes, and I always have to borrow a poncho because I don't own a poncho. I don't want a poncho, but if they did, they were going to knit it for me in my favorite colors and my favorite materials. And I think I'm probably going to get like 3 ponchos this
Okay,
year.
not everyone wears a poncho, Jay, but I will say that
I don't
if
know.
the earth women don't have ponchos, they have clothes that look similar.
Yes.
It's like a long jacket or a long shirt.
In jest, we're joking about the ponchos, but if you're in the Facebook and you come to talk to us, let us know. We will have an informal
Yeah, a
poncho
survey.
quiz.
How many earth people have a
Yes.
poncho?
No, not how many they have. How many do you have?
Yes. How many ponchos do you own?
Yes. So, okay, moving on from the ponchos.
Yes. So
Because I
how
know
do
I'm
you-
going to hear a lot about this poncho thing.
So, Jay, how does someone know if they're earth?
Yeah, let's go to the identifying. If you're nodding your head and slightly chuckling so far, you might be earth 1 or 2 or be connected with an earth, either a child or a parent or a boss or a coworker. But let's talk about you. How do you know if you are earth 1 or first or second?
So some questions to ask yourself are, does everyone around you depend on all the things you do? They may take you for granted because you make it look easy.
Or you might think they're taking you for
Yeah,
granted if
they
you're
might
out
think
of sorts there, a little out of balance. Okay, so that's a good one. So, and do you think that earth people put themselves in the center like that on purpose?
Yes.
Like earth is in the center?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what
so
they want.
you put yourself in that way
Yes.
because you like that.
Yes.
Okay, that's a
and
good
they
one.
love to be in a community. They're very community oriented.
Yes. Okay, great.
So are you a person who invests so much of yourself into your relationships with your parents, your children, your friends, your coworkers?
Okay, and so now this one is why I feel earth people always put themselves last.
That's
They
really
give
true.
away their tickets. They give
Yeah.
away everything. They give away this. They give away that because they're putting everyone before them.
And with varying degrees. Some earth people do it almost pathologically.
Yes.
Like it's
yes,
not to their benefit.
Yes. Okay, so that's another one. So that's number 2.
Do you like to take your time even when people are trying to rush you?
So that's a tough one, but that I see that almost in every earth person that I know.
Yes.
And some people think that's selfish or on the selfish side.
Yes.
But if you're shopping, sometimes the earth people are really slow shoppers. If they're trying to make a decision on picking one to another and they haven't done their research ahead of time, could be like molasses going uphill.
Right.
Slow.
And remember, I did say that Earth has a great variety of different Earth types. There are faster Earths and slower Earths, but we're just talking generally speaking.
Yes. And if you're working with a wood person, I always like to suggest if you think you're Earth, is to write down all the things they're saying, and then they want to systematically go through each one because you can be overwhelmed. Yeah. Earth can be overwhelmed.
Later.
Yes.
So let the wood person go off.
Yes. Because I mentioned this in the wood show that, wood earth dynamic get a lot of done because, wood will delegate and earth will do the work. And it's an amazing team when it's in harmony. So write things down, prioritize, but try not to get stuck in that problem solving mode too much. Okay, that's number 3.
Another thing, if you think you're Earth, do you like to think things through and analyze all your options carefully and plan accordingly before you make a move?
Yeah, that's that, paralysis from analysis.
Yes.
Okay, it can be if they overanalyze and sometimes they don't do anything.
Right.
So so if you think, and I see that one more on the challenging side versus the positive side. That's a tough one for Earth people. I think that's when they start to get tripped up.
Yeah, and they may actually read those instruction manuals.
Yeah. Oh my God, they are the ones who keep them in the baggie, in the closet, stacked from like the last 10 years and try to get them away from them. Yeah. They hold on to them like, oh, my precious. Yes, that is the earth with the manual. So if you have junk drawer full of manuals, you are tilting towards the earth side, or your partner is if they are. That's always, and that's not just in the junk drawer, in the baggie, sealed, so nothing could possibly happen to them.
So let's talk about some examples of famous people that we all know who are earth.
Well, we already talked about Jennifer Aniston and Lisa Kudrow. Both of those are from Friends. And I think that Lisa Kudrow is earth in real life and played earth in real life. And Jennifer Aniston is in real life earth, but we don't think her character
was necessarily she wasn't a cleaner. She had a lot of fire.
She had a lot of fire. So that was, a lot of...
Sometimes an actor doesn't match the role.
And we think that was one. If you are a Friends fan, we could have that conversation. So we found a lot of people in the entertainment world. So we also had Beyonce, who's big earth.
And that Beyonce walk we're going to talk about later.
We're talk about that. That's a big earth walk. Then we also have U2's Bono, and we have Christina Aguilera and Micheal Franti. Those are the big singers that we found.
And also we have Kristen Wiig, which is a great example of an earth comedian.
Yes, which is rare.
Yeah. And Kerry Washington from the show Scandal is a perfect earth to take a look at.
Yes. And one of my favorite actor is Javier Bardem.
And Zachary Quinto.
From Star Trek. Yeah.
And we have to say, we didn't find as many actors who are earth.
Yeah. Well, think about it. It's a softer side. It's more... it's not that macho or that crazy water. It's a different outline. I'm certain that they're out there.
Yes.
But we found a lot of people had Earth second. So
if you go see the movie Eat, Pray, Love, it's a perfect example of Earth because I think the author was Earth. I'm not sure that
Elizabeth
the character
Gilbert. I think she is Earth. Yeah.
And the character was a little confusing.
Which was Julia Roberts, who's
she's
fire. Yes.
But Javier Bardem is really
Earth,
beautiful
earth
soul.
Yes.
So you got to take a look at him.
Yes, and I would say I would think that Elizabeth Gilbert is
definitely earth.
And we met Brené Brown.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Brené Brown.
Yeah, she would be earth.
Check her out on YouTube.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the earth element famous people are kind of reluctantly doing
and we talked about Oprah being wood, but you can see that earth side a lot in her. She's wood earth. So
earth
you see that earth come out a lot because she really is community orientated. Okay, great. So those are some examples of earth people out in the world, and we might add to that in our group if we get into those conversations. If anyone's interested, we'd love to continue on with that. So let's talk about some of the challenges and struggles. We've kind of peppered a few through with jest, and remember, we're doing this in a light and fun way, so don't get mad at me, earth people.
So the number one thing is when they feel overwhelmed and feel as if no one is helping them, and so they want to give to people, and they may even have their arms full of gifts, and maybe people don't even want the gifts.
Yeah, and they're not necessarily physical gifts.
Yeah.
They're like, information, lessons, knowledge, which they've so carefully harvested from the world.
Yeah.
They might want to be giving the bounty of what they know, and some people say, nah, I don't need to have that, or they just reject it, and that sets an earth person down a spiral.
Because they don't want to feel unwanted and unneeded.
Ungrateful.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, okay, that's so great. So let's give another example of that.
So you can try an experiment. You can ask your earth friend or lover for help with something that's frustrating you.
Okay. See if they'll solve the problem for you.
And just watch their face light up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like
it does make
they were looking for a way to feel needed.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
Yeah. And I always like to just hand it off, and they dive into it. They evaluate it. They give you different options. Just don't be in a rush for the results.
Yeah. Now, the other big problem, or let's call it the struggle, is worry. Worry is a big earth thing, and it shuts them down to all this abundance coming in. It's like everything shuts down when they're worried. And the number one worry that I see is they worry about their children. Yeah. If they have children.
Yeah.
Or they might be worried about their parents or their friend if they don't have children. So if you're with a friend who's worried and they're earth, a lot of people make the mistake of trying to solve their problem for them.
Yeah.
Earth people can solve their own problems.
Yeah.
When they're worried, it means they need a sounding board. They need someone to listen to them.
Yeah. They
We're
need
back to the
another Earth
listening.
person.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're back to the
So if you're
listening.
not Earth and you have an Earth friend, boy, you got to snap into your Earth mode if you really want to help them.
And here's the miracle. If they get a chance to talk to someone about what they're worried about, by the end of the conversation, they will have felt so much better and the worry will go away because they worked it out in their own minds.
And they already know what they have to do. They already know the answer. They just somehow don't want to put themselves first to figuring out their own problems.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, the other challenge for them is they're so nice to everyone out in the world. And at home, they can sometimes be a little itchy with a bee.
Dun, 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 dun.
We call it the nicest you'll ever love.
Beep, beep. Yes. And that's because things fall out of, balance around in the home, perhaps. Maybe someone's not doing all their chores. Maybe that you've mopped the floor the wrong way 3 times in a row, or you didn't put the dishes away the correct way, or didn't load the dishwasher the correct way, and they've just snapped. And they couldn't get out of it their own way.
Look, they don't want to nag.
Yeah.
They do not want to nag.
Yeah.
If they're nagging, everyone's unhappy because they're unhappy and now you're unhappy.
Yeah. And it is a big challenge with Earth because it's probably one of the easiest things. When I mention it to an Earth person, they always just kind of look down and shake their head. Yes. Like they know they're being mean to the people they love the most.
Yeah. And look, you're never going to do it as well as they do.
Yeah.
All they want you to do is to say, can I help you?
Yeah.
And that is the most important thing.
Or
that you
what can I do to help you?
Yeah,
and let them tell you what they can do. Yeah. Don't try to figure it out. Just ask them and they'll tell you. Yeah. That's a good tip.
And then they feel like you're part of it and you're part of this community at home. You're trying to do your fair share. You may not do as thorough a job as they do, but you care.
Yeah. And you want to stay out of the way of the steamroller.
Yeah.
Because they could steamroll you. Yeah, that's part of the itch with the V. Yeah. Okay, so how do you spot an Earth person out in the world? So we're going to break it down to, the first one is the walk.
Yes. So shake it, don't break it.
Shake it, don't break it.
So it's a gentle side to side rhythm. You want to watch a person's hips. And if they're moving back and forth, they have Earth in their very top elements.
Yeah. And, I like to jest and say, can I have some fries with that shake? Okay. So it goes back and forth. It almost has that sensual feel again.
It's the sensuality.
And if you really want to see it in its ultimate form, Beyonce.
Yes,
when she's strutting, doing her thing, she has got that Earth, and it's a little exaggerated, but you'll really see that side to side shake.
Yeah, even though it's exaggerated, take a look because I think it will just help you see what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And their feet connect solidly to the ground. It's not a stomp, but a firm planting of their feet.
And they might really like to be barefoot a lot.
Yes, they love to walk barefoot.
We just saw Michael Franti barefoot.
Yes.
He's been barefoot. He does yoga. He's very earthy.
Yes.
Yeah. And a lot of that love to, so look down.
Yes.
If the shoes are off,
yes,
you might be Earth.
And they center their energy in their belly, so they may even stick it out. I like to call it the Buddha belly.
Yes. And when you tell that to Earth people, they love it. They rub their Buddha belly.
They rub their bellies and they feel really good.
Yeah.
And so they sway a little bit side to side. Their clothing, we said, was often loose, so you'll see the clothing moving with the air. And it's rhythmical when they walk. They walk with a rhythm, a cadence. And again, like Beyonce's walk, it has a cadence, a rhythm
and it's Earth on a mission.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, her walk especially because she's wood second.
All right, so let's move to from the walk to the talk.
Yes, so there's a lullaby voice. I call it a storytelling voice, but it's the kind of storytelling that conveys importance and thoughts and ideas, and it sounds soothing. So it's not exciting like the storytelling voice of fire that excites people. Yeah. It's more rhythmic, and it can even soothe you to sleep.
Yes, very nice. It has that circular singing movement. Okay.
They actually call it singing in Chinese medicine. The voice sounds like a song. Like, for example, they instead of saying anyway, they'll say anyway.
And so the way is extended for a few milliseconds long. Do that again.
Anyway.
Anyway.
So Also, they may do a word like anyway, or they may take a whole sentence and it'll go up and down and have these very easy valleys. And that's a singing voice.
Yeah. Maybe on the last element, we'll do a quick thing on all the voices, because the voices is definitely a telltale sign.
Yes. Think about your kindergarten teacher reading you a book.
Yeah. And, the sentences are long and they're elaborate. Not like a water runner that goes on and on, up and down and up and down, It
has
excitement.
that rhythmical cadence.
Yes,
so they might say a sentence that's about this long, and then they'll say another sentence that's about this long. And then it's like bullet points that take their time.
And they go up and beautiful. Yeah, that's great. So the pace is nice as well.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the voice, the talk. So what about the look, the eyes?
The eyes, I like to say they have Bambi eyes.
Yeah, doe eyes, big doe eyes.
Big eyes. They really open them wide.
Yeah.
And they're not doing that like in a scared way, which water eyes can be really open too, but it's like they're looking around and they're checking
soft.
things
These are
out.
softer.
These are soft, round, like a doe's eyes, like Bambi. And so they are opening their eyes, they're opening their ears because they're really trying to take in and listen to people.
Yeah. And we missed this big part, but they also tilt their heads and listen with their ear.
Yeah, they'll cock their head to the side and they'll show their ear. They may even like pull their hair back over their ears so they can hear better. So they can
expose you. And they'll have the doe eyes while they're doing that.
And when you watch them, sometimes they knit their eyebrows together.
They do what?
They knit their eyebrows together.
Is that a saying?
Yes,
I never even heard of that before.
Which just means they pull their eyebrows together to show that they're really thinking
but that's different than a unibrow.
Yes, it's different than
so they actually knit them. Okay, I like that.
That's good.
All right, so if you have a unibrow, don't get mad at us. Yes. We're just teasing.
Well, then you can't do it.
Right. I'm thinking Zachary Quinto has that. Okay, he's going to be mad. But no. What does Earth want? Now that you think you have some tools to identify even yourself or those around you, what do they really want?
Well, they are listening to your soul. They're the ones who listen the best. And so they want people to listen to them.
Yeah.
That's what they want.
Yep. Oh, so, they want to be the listeners. They want to be the problem solvers. They want to, share the chores. They want this validation for how you're feeling, how they're feeling. Yeah. But it's a little bit different than fire or wood.
Yeah. But think about what it means for them to be heard.
Yeah.
If they could say, you got me. Yeah. That is the best thing they could ever
it's as if they come to know themselves more deeply through this connection that's created from that feeling. I really think that's you got that for sure.
Yeah.
So that if you get them and they think you get them and being authentic, that's a good thing for the feeling of what Earth would want.
So what they want is they want to be understood, but in a really deep way. They want to know one person on this planet gets them.
Yes. That's great. So the evolution of Earth, Lita, let's wrap this up with the evolution of Earth.
So you come to realize that the only person who can really satisfy that need for validation is yourself.
Yes.
And how lovely when another person out there gets you. But if you don't get you, if you're not listening to yourself, then you haven't evolved as an Earth person.
And you know that some divine power will fulfill those needs that you're always looking for. It's a surrendering. It's a trust. It might take a lifetime to figure this out, but if you can figure it out, boy, you really come into some authenticity in your life.
Once you listen and validate yourself and give and receive, you're going to stay in balance.
Yeah, and when we mentioned this before, don't look for other people to satisfy these feelings that you have, these needs.
Yeah.
And then no one will disappoint you.
Exactly.
And then you can give yourself freely.
And it's a tall order because, it's easy to resent all the other elements who are takers. And then, you have to fulfill your own needs. You have to learn how to completely take in all the goodness of the universe that is out there. And then you no longer need to withhold anything from anyone else.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. And we love you, Earth. We love that you give. We try not to be takers.
Yes.
But we love it. And you do make the world move and go around. So thank you, Earthlings. Be proud of your place in the elemental world. Step into your power. Maybe be a little gentle on those around you.
Yes.
And I'll go with, I feel the earth move under my feet.
Woo. I feel the sky tumbling down.
And I do think Carole King probably was Earth.
Oh, she had to have been.
So we'll go out on that note. Thank you, Carole. Micheal King, and we'll see you for the next element, which will be
Metal.
metal. Okay, goodbye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Inspired Action Podcast. You can follow our Inspired Actions on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
If you haven't yet, please subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. If you have already, thank you so much. We read all reviews and really appreciate your input. Join us next week for another Inspired Action conversation. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to hug the dog.